In 2011, you achieved your dream, calling the first Kentucky Derby. What went through your mind, the first time finding out that you were going to call it? And then was it like a whole new element of nervousness at that point? Or is it just, another day at the track?
Yeah, no, the Kentucky Derby's never another day at the track. I can tell you
Okay,
that
good.
much. There was, yeah, not even close. The finding out about it story is great. I was calling the races at the time at Gulfstream Park, which is in South Florida, in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami, and we were at the very end of the winter racing season. There was like early April, and very little going on. I was getting ready to go back home to New Jersey, where I now live, and where I would spend the summer as the announcer at Monmouth Park racetrack there at the time. And the phone rang in the announcer's booth, and I remember it's an easy number for me to remember to this day. It was 212-444-4444. I'm like, who the heck is this? And so I pick up the phone, and the fellow on the other end of the phone was Fred Gaudelli, who was the executive, or he was the producer for the Triple Crown, and also for Sunday Night Football at the time. And he said, we wanted to talk to you about calling the Kentucky Derby for us. Now, there was a fellow named Tom Durkin who was my predecessor for that gig for years and years, and Tom was one of the all-time greats. He was stepping down, but it was never made public. And I had no idea about that. And so I was extremely skeptical that this was a real phone call. And I said, that's Tom Durkin's gig. What are you talking about? He goes, well, Tom's stepping down. This is really us. We'd like to talk to you. And can you fly up to New York? So like 3 days later, they flew me up to New York. I went to 30 Rock and met him. Sam Flood, who was the executive producer for NBC Sports, and Rob Hyland, who is now the guy for Sunday Night Football, and he was our producer for years for the Triple Crown. We had lunch. It was time for me to get a car ride back to the airport to LaGuardia to go back to Florida, and I'm in Fred's office, and this guy walks in. I look, I'm like, oh my God, that's Dick Ebersol, the chairman of NBC Sports. It's crazy. And so he walks in and goes, hey, Fred, we got the NFL schedule came out. We got Colts and Patriots, Brady and Manning. We're going to have such a great schedule. And Fred is like, hey, Dick, this is Larry. We're talking to him about taking over for Durkin. And he goes, oh, yeah, nice. Well, we got this game and we got this game. And he totally didn't care I was even there. And then so he turns around, starts walking away, and he turns back. He goes, Larry, it's like, do you believe us now? Because he had heard that I was skeptical. So the whole thing was kind of a